And James Palmer, NFL analyst, he gave his quick thoughts on how it could shake out. And surprisingly enough, he still thinks it's a little bit wide open. And I give y'all my quick thoughts, and I'm gonna stick to what I say. Just take a look at this.
All right, on to the Falcons quarterback battle. I mentioned I haven't talked about this a whole bunch. Two lefties down there, Tua Tagovailoa versus Michael Penix Jr. And Tua is kind of, even though it's wide open, Tua is kind of the front runner with an asterisk. And that's because Michael Penix has not been healthy enough in the spring to operate in all of the different situations that you run during minicamp and your OTAs. So just through the sheer fact that Tua has had more reps with the first team, has participated in more parts of practice, in the parts that Michael Penix is not allowed to because he hasn't been medically cleared, Tua does have a slight edge in some people's mind heading into training camp. Now, when does Michael Penix Jr. become medically cleared? That's really a big part of this. Now, my understanding is there's a chance he could be medically cleared to participate in full at the start of training camp. If that's the case, don't rule that out. That's a really, really big step for Michael Penix Jr. to really make this as even as possible, because that's really where this stands. The faster he gets on the field to take the exact same reps that Tua Tagovailoa is taking, the better his chances are. We'll see when he gets cleared. Nobody's ruling out the start of camp, to my understanding. Now to Tua Tagovailoa and why this might be an interesting player to watch, obviously after the Dolphins are paying an insane amount of money to have him not play for them. Talking to a lot of people over the last couple of days, Tua is still a very accurate quarterback, throws one of the better balls in football. Obviously, there's the injury concerns with the head injuries and the hip, but there were some things that transpired in Miami, I was told, towards the end of his time there that will not be factors for him in Atlanta. Some of the things that maybe impacted his play and impacted where he was as a football player that were happening in Miami at the end are not present in Atlanta. And so you're seeing him operate in a system that a lot of people close to him believe is very favorable, the Kevin Stefanski system with how it operates and how he can go through progressions quickly and get the football accurately where it needs to go. There's a lot to like about Tua operating this system. It's not a done deal. Just remember, it's not the same front office that drafted Michael Penix in the first round. It's not the same coaching staff that drafted Michael Penix in the first round, which means that whole group has no obligation to Penix at all. A lot of times coaches and front office members feel like they have an obligation to a player they took near the top. They want to justify the pick, right? They don't want to move on from high drafted capital pick like they had with Michael Penix. So clean slate for Penix, but at the same time, nobody's like secretly pulling for him behind the scenes because they picked him. So wide open, but right now Tua has the advantage because he's been healthy. We'll see how quickly Michael Penix catches up in terms of his health.
I agree 200% that it's still wide open. And don't get me wrong, I'm just still under the impression that until I see him hit the field preseason or week one, I'm going to stick to what I said. Could start the season on the PUP list. Even though he's close to getting healthy, they're still saying in other aspects they're still trying to hold him back. But here's one thing that I think give Tua Tagovailoa the edge.
Yeah, and that's why I'm going to go the completely opposite direction. I'm going to say Michael Penix got the most pressure on him. And the reason why I say Michael Penix got the most pressure on him, does he really fit what Kevin Stefanski like to do? What type of quarterback he like? I don't think so. Kevin Stefanski like accurate quarterbacks. He likes guys that have like Deshaun Watson. When he was in his prime, first couple of years in Houston, he was a top 10 quarterback. Dylan Gabriel, even though they drafted him in the 4th round, very accurate at the University of Oregon. Shedeur Sanders, 72% completion percentage at Colorado and Jackson State. So he has a particular type quarterback. And even at Washington, Michael Penix, I think his accuracy was like 60% or something like that. So they like accurate quarterback that can get the ball out quick. What is Michael Penix's biggest hurdle? His legs. He holds on to the ball too long. He doesn't use his mobility enough. He doesn't know how to move around in the pocket. Tua does. So I think Penix has the biggest pressure on him. And I will say this as well. Depending on how we're looking at the end of the season, quarterback-wise, we can see Jack Strand towards the end of the year. And the reason why I say that.
No.
I'm telling you. I'm telling you, look, depending on where we are at the end of the year, if the team is falling off and we ain't got nothing to play for, you can see Jack Strand, so they'll know exactly what they need to do going into 2027 at the quarterback position. If they see any kind of semblance of a starting quarterback, out of Jack Strand, he might be the starting quarterback going to 2027. Instead of drafting a high-profile quarterback, you just keep what you got. Or, like I said, you go out and sign that veteran. So I think Penix, because of his fit in this offense under this staff, I don't really think it's what even though they're saying it on TV, that's PR, and I know that. But I'm telling you, he is not a Stefanski type guy. I'm just telling y'all that. And there's no knock to him. I think he's talented. I love watching him at Washington. But trust me, they got a type. Terrence Matthews said it himself. They know who they want to start at quarterback, and I already knew that. So I'm going to just keep it real with y'all. Penix has the most pressure because of how he fits in this system under these coaches. Now, don't get me wrong, Van Pelt can develop him, but there's still a type quarterback that they want. Keeping it real.